weather reporting. Let's report on fire. This is a fire report. Fire of the Bible. Fire happens independent of weather, whether it's hot or cold or raining or snowing. We're putting it in the elemental event section here. Isaiah 66:16. The Lord will plead with all flesh by fire and sword. By fire and sword. The Lord will plead with all flesh. Zephaniah 1:18. Neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. Do you remember that story about Lazarus, the sick beggar? Well, he was caught up in Abraham's bosom, and like the rich guy who wouldn't help him was in a fire, torment, something. That was Luke 16:22 and 23. Deuteronomy, Old Testament laws about fire. It says a fiery law was given to them. Deuteronomy 33. 2. The Lord came from Sinai, rose up from Seir unto them. He shined forth from Mount Paran. He came with 10,000s of saints from his right hand, went a fiery law for them. More law, Exodus 22:6. If a fire break out and catch in the thorns, and the stacks of corn and standing corn or in the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. Sign of fires in there. One time, Jeremiah 6:1. O ye children of Benjamin, gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem. Blow the trumpet in Tekoa. Set up a sign of fire in Beth-Haserem. For evil appeareth out of the north, and great destruction. 1 Corinthians 3:15. If any man's work shall be burned, he shall suffer loss, but he himself shall be saved, so as by fire, yet so as by fire. Joshua 7:15. Sounds like a Salem witch. Just something about it shall be that he that is taken with the accursed thing shall be burned with fire, he and all that he has, because he transgressed the covenant of the Lord, and because he has wrought folly, bullshit in Israel. Passover, can't have Passover without a fire. Exodus 12:11. Actually, start at 12:8. They shall eat in the flesh that night, roast with fire. Unleavened bread, bitter herbs, they shall eat it. Also, Leviticus 20:14. More law. If a man take a wife and her mom, it's wickedness. You should burn all three of them. The Bible's not the supreme law here. People are entitled to due process. Okay, Deuteronomy 9 talks about that time the people made a idol of a calf, a baby cow, and Moses burned it. It said, I took your sin, the calf which you made, and burned it with fire, and he stamped it, ground it very small, even until it was as small as dust, and he cast the dust thereof into the brook that descended out of the mount. God promises some fire. Luke 12:49. I am come to send fire on the earth, and what will I do if it's already going, already kindled? Revelation 18:8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Luke 3:17 sounds interesting. Whose fan is in his hand, he will thoroughly purge his floor. He will gather the wheat into his garner, but the chaff he will burn with fire unquenchable. Fire of the Lord's in there a couple times. Back in Numbers, Numbers 11, the peoples complained and it displeased the Lord, and the Lord heard it. His anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burnt among them and consumed them that were in the uttermost parts of the camp. And he called the name of that place Taberah, Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burnt among them. Breastplates of fire, that's in there. 1 Kings 18:38, the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, the wood, the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. Revelations 9:17, and I saw the horses in the vision, and them that sat on the horses having breastplates of fire, of jacinth, brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of the lions. Out of the mouths issued fire, smoke, and brimstone. Revelation 9:18. By these three was the third part of the men killed, by fire, by the smoke, and by the brimstone, which issued out of their mouths. Deuteronomy 9:3. Understand therefore this day that the Lord thy God is he which goeth over before thee as a consuming fire. He shall destroy them and shall bring them down before thy face, so shalt thou drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord hath said unto thee. Psalms 11:6, upon the wicked rain snares, fire, brimstone, and a horrible tempest. Ezekiel 38, and they shall know that I am the Lord when I have set a fire in Egypt, when all her helpers shall be destroyed. Malachi 4. Malachi is the final book of the Old Testament. It says, surely, the day is coming. It will burn like a furnace. All the arrogant and every evildoer will be stubble. And the day that is coming will set them on fire, saith the Lord Almighty. Not a root or a branch will be left to them. But for you who revere my name, the Sun of Righteousness will rise with healing in its rays, and you will go out and frolic like well-fed calves. Then you will trample on the wicked. There will be ashes under the soles of your feet on the day when I act, saith the Lord Almighty. Ezekiel 20:47. That's 20 is a parable about trees. Say to the forest of the south, hear the word of the Lord. Thus saith the Lord God, behold, I will kindle a fire in thee, and it shall devour every green tree in thee, every dry tree. The flaming flame shall not be quenched, and all the faces from the south to the north shall be burned therein. Here's a message from the Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi 22:17. Wherefore he will preserve the righteous by his power, even if so be that the fullness of his wrath must come, and the righteous be preserved even unto the destruction of their enemies by fire. Wherefore the righteous need not fear, for thus saith the prophet, they shall be saved, even if so be as by fire. And then there was some funky fire that was burning, but the bush it was on wasn't getting eaten up. That was Exodus 3:2. The angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. So it was on fire, but it wasn't dying. Exodus 24:17, and the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. Deuteronomy 5, Old Testament 5:24, and ye said, behold, the Lord our God has showed us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We have seen this day that God does talk with man, and he liveth. Isaiah 66:15, for behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and rebuke with flames of fire. Ezekiel 5:4, take of them again, and cast them into the midst of the fire, and burn them in the fire. For thereof shall a fire come forth into all the house of Israel. With fire is in there a couple times. An angel, Revelation 8:5, an angel is taking a censer and filling it with fire of the altar and casting it into the earth. There was voices, thunderings, lightnings, and an earthquake. Revelation 16:8, the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, S-U-N, and power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. Message from the Book of Mormon from 3 Nephi 8 is about tempests, earthquakes, fires, whirlwinds, and physical upheavals which attest the crucifixion of Christ. Many people are destroyed. Darkness covered the land for 3 days. Those who remain bemoaned their fate. About 34 AD. Fire was used in war. In Joshua 6:24, they burnt the city with fire, and all that was therein, only the silver and the gold and the vessels of brass and iron, they put in the treasury of the house of the Lord. Jeremiah 39, the Chaldeans burned the king's house and the houses of the people with fire. He break down the walls of Jerusalem. Judges 12, the men of Ephraim gathered themselves together and went northward and said unto Japheth, wherefore passest thou over to fight against the children of Ammon? And didst not call us to go with thee? We will burn thy house upon thee with fire. Jeremiah 38:18, but if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon's princes, then shall the city be given into the hands of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire. Thou shalt not escape out of their hands. Jeremiah 51:32, and the passages are stopped, and the reeds they have burned with fire, and the men of war are affrighted. PTSD. Ezekiel 16:41, and they shall burn thy houses with fire, and execute judgments upon thee in the sight of many women. I will cause thee to cease from playing the harlot, and thou shalt give no hire any more. Amos 7:4, thus hath the Lord God showed unto me, and behold, the Lord God called to contend by fire, and it devoured the great deep, and did eat up a part. Set the city on fire is in there 3 times. Not recommended. Joshua 8:8, it shall be that when ye have taken the city, ye shall set the city on fire according to the commandment of the Lord. Shall ye do? See, I have commanded you. So read that all in context. Joshua 8:19, the ambush arose quickly out of their place, and they ran as soon as they had stretched out his hand. They entered in the city, took it, and hastened to set the city on fire. Judges also 1:8, the children of Judah fought against Jerusalem and had taken it, smitten it with the edge of the sword, and they set the city on fire. The children of Judah. Joshua 7:25, Joshua said, why hast thou troubled us? The Lord shall trouble thee this day. And all Israel stoned him with stone, and burned them with fire after they stoned him with stones. So I'm not sure what that guy did, but you might want to read it. Joshua 7. Judges 15, when he came unto Lehi, which is interesting that Lehi's in that book, because I'm pretty sure Lehi's in the other book, the little blue one. When he came to Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands. Samson? What's that? Samson? 1 Kings 9:16. Pharaoh, king of Egypt, gone up and taking Gezer and burn it with fire, slain the Canaanites that dwell in the city, given it for a present to his daughter, Solomon's wife. Gezer, burned it with fire, slayed Canaanites, and gave it for a present. 1 Kings 16:18 came to pass when Zimri saw the city was taken, and he went into the palace of the king's house and burnt the king's house over him with fire and died. They burnt the house of God, brake down the walls of Jerusalem, burnt all the palaces with fire. That was 2 Chronicles 36:19. They destroyed all the goodly vessels. Psalms 80:16, it's burned with fire, it is cut down, they perish at the rebuke of thy countenance. For behold, the Lord comes with fire, and with chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. Jeremiah 39:8, Chaldeans burned the king's house and the house of the people with fire. Everyone shall be salted with fire, Mark 9:49. Every sacrifice shall be salted with salt. Everyone salted with fire. Every sacrifice salted with salt. Hebrews 12:18, don't come near the mount and touch it. It's burning with fire, nor unto the blackness and darkness and tempest. Mm, 1 Peter 1:7, the trial of your faith being much more precious than the gold that perishes, though it be tried with fire, might be found unto praise and honor and glory at the appearance of Jesus Christ. Topographically, we have a great mountain burning on fire. Revelation 8:8, the second angel sounded. It was a great mountain burning with fire, cast into the sea, flying mountain, flaming flaming flying mountain, cast into the sea. Third part of the sea became blood. Mountain did burn with fire, Deuteronomy 5:23. When you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, for the mountain did burn with fire, then you came near unto me, even all the heads of your tribes and your elders. Fire of hell's in there in James 3:6. The tongue is a fire, a world of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members, that it defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it is set on fire of hell. Revelation 21:8. The fearful, afraid cats, those people, the unbelieving, the abominable, the murderers, the whoremongers, taking advantage, the whoremongers, and the sorcerers, and the idolaters, and all liars, all of them liars, all of them shall have their part in the lake which burned with fire and brimstone, which is the second death. Revelation 15, 1, 2, and 3. Another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues, for in them is filled up the wrath of God. And I saw, as it were, the sea of glass mingled with fire. And them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, standing on the sea of glass, having the harps of God, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb, saying, Great and marvelous are thy works, Lord God Almighty, just and true are thy ways, thou King of saints. Lake of fire, that's in there a couple of times. Revelation 20:15. Whosoever was not found written in the book of life, cast into the lake of fire. 20:14. Death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. That's the second death. 20:10. The devil that deceiveth them, cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, tormented day and night forever and ever. Revelation 19:20. The beast was taken with him, the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast into the lake of fire and brimstone. Fiery stream, that's in there, Daniel 7:10. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands and thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. Judgment was set, the books were opened. Wickedness burns like a fire, Isaiah 9:18. It consumes briars and thorns. It even sets the thickets of the forest aflame. They roll upward in a cloud of smoke. Judges 20, when the flame began to arise up out of the city with a pillar of smoke, the Benjamites looked behind, and behold, the flame of the city ascended up to heaven. Fiery ovens in there, Psalm 21:9. Thou shalt make them as a fiery oven in the time of thy anger. Thou shalt swallow them up in his wrath, and fire shall devour them. Burning fiery furnace is in there, Daniel 3:11. Daniel 7:9. The thrones were cast down, Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like pure wool. His throne was like a fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. Fiery darts of the wicked, that's in there, Ephesians 6:16, taking, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Hebrews 10, you should read for context, 10:27, is certain fearful, looking for the judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. Fiery trial to happen, 1 Peter 4:12, beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. Smoking fire pot, that's in there, Genesis 15:17. Pennsylvania's got fire pot. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. Psalms 29:7. Ezekiel 5:4. Take of them again and cast them into the midst of the fire. Burn them in the fire. A fire shall come forth into all the house of Israel. Message in the Book of Mormon, 1 Nephi 22:17. Wherefore he will preserve the righteous by his power, even if it so be that the fullness of wrath must come, and the righteous be preserved even unto the destruction of their enemies by fire. Wherefore the righteous need not fear, for thus saith the prophet, they shall be saved, even if it so be as by fire.